Hey, this is Brian again, and I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We can't do this work without people like you, so if you can, please like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends about Bring Back the Porch.
I think now that we've had a little bit of success this year, I think we have 10 wins, and with the playoffs coming, I just think that that interest is going to continue to grow, and it's just a matter of the coaches continuing to recruit and continuing to replace whatever players are leaving the program with better players and continue that development.
This episode of Bring Back the Porch brought to you by Bernie Leahy, River Street Realty. Let's get you home. Well, this February, people's attention was on the Olympics, watching Canada, the women's hockey team playing for a gold medal. Got a silver, still something to be proud of, but that was not the biggest event in women's hockey, at least not in my books, because the Medicine Hat College Rattler women's hockey team made the playoffs. Here to talk about it is the manager of athletics and recreation from the Medicine Hat College, Terry Ballard. Welcome.
Thanks, Brian. Great to be here.
Have you stopped smiling since that team clinched the playoff?
No, actually, it's a great moment in the short history of that program, and I think it's very well deserved. They beat the teams they had to, and they've unexpectedly beat a couple of teams above them in the standings, so it's well deserved and looking forward to it.
Now, you're going to be playing the first place team in the playoffs.
Yes, that'll be the Lloydminster Rustlers up in Lloydminster.
It doesn't get easier.
No, they're the defending champions of the league as well. They're a very strong program, very well supported, but our games this year have been very, very close with them, and we feel like we're in a good position, so we'll see how it goes.
Now, you mentioned the short history of the Rattlers. When you returned from coaching the men's team at NAIT,
Yep.
You started out on the path to getting a women's hockey team here. What was it about women's hockey that you felt we needed to have a team in Medicine Hat?
Well, the first little part of returning was hopefully to get your feet wet in the position and maintain what we had. And then after a year or so, I shouldn't say but we kept getting emails into the office and a few phone calls and visitors in person to say, how come you don't have hockey here? How come hockey doesn't exist at Medicine Hat College? And, the easy answer is it is an expensive sport, and especially if you're going to go down the route of having both men and women, it's triple the expense. So and the other part was we didn't have our own arena, so that's another factor. But it was never a no, we wouldn't ever have it. But those requests and visits and emails and phone calls kept spurring us on to maybe we should have something prepared just in case. So we put together a budget for both men's and women's hockey and updated it annually and kept it on file. And we let our superiors know that this was on file. And in colleges and universities, leadership changes a lot at the top. So when the new leadership comes in, you let new folks know that,
again,
just to let you know, here's what we have. But there's also a lot of requests and noise about hockey in the community. And we do have a budget if you ever want to look at it, or a proposal for put something together. And eventually the leadership came in that took an interest, and they asked to see that, and that was our current president, Kevin Shufflebotham. And Kevin and I actually have a little bit of a history because we both worked at NAIT together when I was coaching the men's hockey program, so he knew all about what a hockey program can bring to an institution. And he kept asking, and then we talked a lot about it, talked to senior executive about it, what it could do, what it would cost. Excuse me. And then I believe it was the summer of 2022. I was meeting with my supervisor, and Kevin was there as well. And we talked about how you get into women's hockey. I told him the process, about applications. It's good to have an exhibition season first. And that moment, they actually just decided then, okay, go ahead with the exhibition season. So that was July. So we had...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so we didn't have much time, but we started to, use social media to let women and girls know that we're having an exhibition season, no matter what it would be. Anybody was invited. We wouldn't turn anybody away, just to see what the interest was. We had a meeting in early September, mid-September, I believe. And I think there was about 20 girls that showed up. Not all stayed, but they wanted to hear about it. I think we ended up eventually getting our first ice session with about 16 or 18 girls. Thankfully, there was one goalie, because you never know. And we started practicing twice a week, and then we started setting up games with other ACAC schools, some junior league teams, and some local women's teams. I think we played 8 to 12 games that year, and I think teams that want to get into ACAC hockey or a higher level, playing the exhibition season is crucial, because you need to know, the players need to know what it's like, what it's all about, and the school needs to understand what potential expenses are. We took a couple road trips. We went to Oyen to play Oles. We went to Lakeland to play the Rustlers, or to Lloydminster. Went to Calgary, I think, didn't we? Yeah, went to Calgary. And then we played a few games at home. And Red Deer as well. So it was an outstanding year to get your feet wet. We didn't do very well, but that didn't matter. The results were irrelevant. And it was great to see a lot of the girls that were on that team come back the following year and be on the official team of the first year.
Women's hockey, 2021, 2022, I mean, you had the national team that always was winning gold, but professionally it was still kind of hit and miss. The game for women has exploded over the last couple of years, and that has helped your program in terms of drawing more players into the game to feed into your system?
Yeah, I certainly think so. I'm so glad that professional league for women does exist, because it gives little young girls some hope and something to look forward to. And I think that's also what we tried to model our program over, is to give the local girls something to look forward to and say, wow, I could keep playing. I could maybe go to college and play college hockey right here in my own community. And that is very exciting. So that, and combined with the Women's Professional League, I think has really exploded the interest in young girls. And we do a lot of community engagement with young girls teams. We bring them to the rink for practice, or they come to our games. We always have a young girl who stands out there for the national anthem. And all those things are meant to drive that interest and keep that interest for young girls, so that they'll keep playing, and hopefully that, Medicine Hat will develop into a bantam, midget, and hopefully a junior team, and that could become a feeder system for our program at the college, and maybe even for the Saha programs in town.
I know there are girls playing in Medicine Hat minor hockey against boys right now, but there's also the Rocky Mountain Female Hockey League. Yeah. Medicine Hat has a couple of teams in there, including, I think, a U13, where both teams are playing for league championships this year.
Oh, I didn't know that, but that's great to hear. And I just hope that those ages can continue on to the next level, the next stage, and continue to develop, because that's what's important. And they hope they have an eye on, if they don't want to come to our college, they can go to some other college, but we'd like to have them keep in town.
And your players are serving as role models for those young girls now.
Yes, they attend practices, they work with the coaches as much as they can, and everybody we have involved in our women's hockey program at the college level is open to that engagement, open to that involvement, and they want to do what's best for the women and the young girls in the community.
I was there the night that the Rattlers got their first victory. I think it was the last game of the season 2 years ago. Was it in overtime?
No, it was close to it. I remember we were there, and we actually had the ACAC operating code open, because it was like 38 seconds left. We thought it was going to go into overtime, so we wanted to make sure we were following things right. And I believe, I think it was Kennedy, scored with 24 seconds left to get the win. So we just had to kill 24 seconds, and we got the first win for the last game of the season.
And I was running the clock that night, and right next to the bench, and the excitement was unbelievable.
Oh, it was, and it was deservedly so, and it was a feeling they probably will remember forever. Mm-hmm. We've kept the puck for that game. We have it in our trophy case, and I can tell you the last 24 seconds was nerve-wracking, because you never know what can happen. But it was a great feeling to get that win for especially the last game of the season. It was so gratifying.
So how did the team grow from that moment into where you are now? And I know you've changed coaches.
Yeah. I think it's important also to give credit to our first coach, Chad Barron. I think he laid the groundwork. He did a really good job. He's very passionate. His schedule was incredibly full, so unfortunately he had to take a step back. So we hired a new coach, James King, and I think just the congruency between the two and the ID camps that we had in April to invite people out and the level of recruiting that they've both done and James has done to bring in some better players. And that's just a reality, and word gets out. And what happens is it seems like we have quite a bit of a good pipeline with BC, northern BC, it seems like. And I think what happens is you get a couple girls from that area, they come, they enjoy their time, they tell their friends, and then they tell their friends, and more come. And I think that's what's happening. And I think now that we've had a little bit of success this year, we have 10 wins, and with the playoffs coming, I just think that that interest is going to continue to grow. And it's just a matter of the coaches continuing to recruit and continuing to replace whatever players are leaving the program with better players and continue that development.
You mentioned the recruitment aspect and the cost of the program. You are benefit from the Rattler alumni, I would say. They help out a lot.
Yeah, they've helped us out with some scholarships, number one. Their support is great, and they try not to support just one team. They try to support the entire athletic program, so whenever you add a new program, it may cut into the support for other teams because now it goes farther, but that just means the Booster Club is going to step up and provide more support that goes even farther. So we just had a meeting with them to try to increase our scholarship allotment, and I think that's going to go very well. And I think each team will see a little bit of an increase going forward, including the women's hockey team, so we're looking forward to that as well.
Who do you have to compete with to get players? Ringette, still a very popular sport.
I think a little bit of ringette. The unfortunate part, from my opinion, on ringette is a lot of the ringette players, they eventually want to transition to hockey, and they're fantastic skaters, but they don't really have the puck skills or stick skills that maybe they need. So they should try to prepare earlier if they can in age, because if they transition at 15 plus, it's a little bit tougher to get those stick skills with the puck. And they're probably the best skaters on the team, but it's just they don't have those other unique skills. So that's a little bit of it, but we certainly don't want to cut into ringette's development either. We hope that continues. We just want to promote women's and girls hockey as much as possible. And the other part is, I think we're in a unique part of the corner of Alberta because University of Lethbridge has lost their women's hockey program. There's no college programs in southwest Saskatchewan, so we're getting that, and not every young woman in Saskatchewan is good enough to play at the university level at Regina and or Saskatoon. So we probably will be getting more and more of those young women once they realize that they can just step over the border and play for us. And now that we're getting a little bit more successful, that will really help.
Yeah, well, blow the horn a little louder and let them know that Medicine Hat has room for women's hockey.
Yeah.
Do you foresee the day when we'll have a men's team? We used to have one back in the 80s, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was 89 is when they stopped. I mean, right before I think I got here, a couple of years later. I heard they had some really great players, and our local counselor, Brian Varga, was one of them, I heard. Are we ever going to – I don't ever want to say no, but I think the likelihood is a lot lower for sure, simply because there's other opportunities in the community for boys and men's hockey, like the Cubs, the Tigers. There's other things, and they can go down to to Okotoks and play, so there's a lot of close Junior B, Junior A programs that are available. But at the same time, I think there's an opportunity for it. It would take a stronger recruiting to compete on the boys and men's side, because I know what that's like. And half of the ACAC teams are made up of ex-WHL players, and the other half are, Junior A Tier 2 players. So they're top level. There's a few junior B players that have come to ACAC hockey, but mostly the higher level junior hockey league. So recruiting would have to be paramount for sure.
Now, the women play in Lloydminster. It's a best of 3, but we don't get a home game.
No, unfortunately, we don't. It's the rule in the operating code of the ACAC. It's called the 400-kilometer rule, that if an opponent is over 400 kilometers, all 3 games will be at the home of the higher-placed opponent. And I think Lloyd is like 426 or something, so it's close. But again, it's probably for the best, because if you're playing Friday night at 7:15, you're not getting out of the rink or on the road till 11. You're getting home at 3 or 4 in the morning, and you turn around and play. So it's best to stay, and it's best for performance. It's just you don't get the home crowd advantage. But from what I understand, a lot of folks are planning to drive up, a lot of the parents. So there probably will be a little bit of a Medicine Hat College cheering section in the audience.
Good. Just last few minutes of our visit here, let's talk about some of the other programs and at the college. Just recently completing the basketball and the volleyball this year. How did the teams do?
Well, they've all seen a little bit of improvement. Unfortunately, none of the 4 have qualified for conference championships, and that's always their goal. But what I'm seeing is improvement from each of the teams, each of the individuals, each of the coaches. We got fantastic coaches, and they care so much about their particular respective sports, and they're working hard to increase the recruitment and increase the skill development and the development of the young players. And I think we're very close to probably having 2 or 3 of the sports qualifying for playoffs, probably even next year. I think we're very close, which should be exciting.
Futsal has always been one where Medicine Hat has excelled.
Yeah, you're right. Futsal we're very good at it. I think a lot of that goes back to one of our former coaches, Jim Laughlin. He's the one who he was our soccer coach, and with his hard work, he brought futsal to the ACAC. And I think his understanding of that game really helped us be one of the pioneers and be one of the better teams in that. And I think that's just carried on, not just through our program, but I think through the city, because we have some talented young players that come to the college with great futsal skills. And it's a different game than soccer, because you have to have a higher skill level. You can't just kick the ball far. But it's an incredible sport to watch. Actually, it's just like hockey in a gym. It's 4-on-4. You can change on the fly. The goalie can lead the net and score a goal. It's amazing. And thankfully, we do have some good teams and good players. We have some great players from Brazil that really help, because that's where futsal started as well. That's their number 1 sport even before soccer. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but we're hosting the Futsal Conference Championships on March 20th, that weekend. Both our men and women right now are in first place in the regionals, which we get to be in the tournament no matter what. We like to go in at the highest seed possible. And our men are defending champions, and our women are I can't remember if they're silver or bronze. I think they're bronze.
Close, yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't remember that from last year.
Yeah. A lot of those players played for the soccer teams in the fall season?
Yes, the majority do. It's like I said, it's such a different sport. You'll see some players have transferable skills to both and are great at both. Some will not play a lot for soccer, will play more for futsal. Some will play more for soccer and less for futsal. But they're all on the same team. Some don't play both. Primarily I'm not going to play futsal because they know that they just don't have that skill requirement. But they're the same group of kids, yeah.
Okay. Also, outside running, cross-country running, you've done well in the past. Yeah,
we added that sport right around COVID, or right after COVID, I believe. We started with cross-country, which is outdoors. There's 3 regionals a year, and then a conference championships, and then a nationals. We've always made nationals, actually, in that sport. Mostly on our women's side. They've done very well. We've had a lot of strong women runners, and our men are getting better. And then a few years ago, we also added indoor track, and we've had a lot of success there as well. There's only a conference championship there, no nationals. But I think one of the things that helped that program was our coach, Bill Corcoran, who was at Northwest Polytechnic up in Grand Prairie. He spent 20 plus years there as their coach, and him and his wife have decided to retire down here right exactly when our program started, and he was interested, and he's fantastic. Yeah. And
love it when a plan comes together.
It's fantastic. He's really done well. And what's made us successful, he's reached out to the community. He's working with all the track clubs, all the coaches in high school and junior high. And then we transition, we get into the indoor track. We also include Sean Freeman, who's a coach of the Bulldogs track club, I believe. So we have both those coaches that are specialized, and it's really good.
And golf has always been one that Medicine Hat has done well. You've hosted the national championships more than once, I think. Yeah.
2018 we hosted the national championships, and then just this past fall in 2025, both at Desert Bloom. And Desert Bloom is an incredible course to have that level of championship, and people are amazed that we have that course here. And the Desert Bloom staff, both years, especially this year, they were outstanding to work with. We had our banquet there, actually, and the food there, I will tell you, if you haven't ate in that clubhouse, you have to go have a meal. Their chef is incredible. We were so happy we got four Desert Bloom as well as us, but our reviews on the championship couldn't have been higher for the food that was served at the banquet. So it was really pretty exciting. And we did really well. One of our players, Wyatt Bishop, finished with the silver medal individually, and everybody else did really well in terms of personal performances. And Dylan Batzel, our coach, is outstanding. And I think just more and more people want to get involved in our golf program because of that success and because of Dylan.
Is there a program that we haven't talked about? Have we touched them all?
Yes, I believe we have.
I don't want to leave any of them out because they're all important to the Medicine Hat College. They bring athletes, they bring students here, and they bring awareness outside of the city of Medicine Hat that we are here and we exist and we do very well.
Yes, we do. And I'm glad you said that because it's great to add programs because it does bring in those students and it does create a little bit more awareness. I mean, when I started, I think there was 115, 120 student athletes in the sports, and now we've been able to build it up with the support of our executive to 175 student athletes. So on the tier of ACAC schools, we're one of the highest in terms of student athlete population. So it's pretty exciting for a little school like us to have that. And I'd love to add more, or we would love to add more, like curling and badminton and whatever else we have in men's hockey. But again, it's a process and things take time. But if the interest is there, and you never know where things could go.
Well, you look at the women's hockey team, starting from a little colonel, and now they're going to play in their first playoffs. So all I can say is go Rattlers, go.
Thanks, Brian. That's a great way to put it. Little colonel.